Now in addition to video effects, which change the look of your clips, you can also have video transitions. These are used to show a special effect for switching between different clips. So the first thing you need to do is add another clip to transition to. I mean, you can always transition to black, which is a very common and useful transition, but let's add another clip for kicks. I'll go ahead and drag the slow motion fixed clip over to the timeline here. Oops, I'll turn the snap feature on. Okay, so now we just have a simple cut. Once this clip is finished playing, then it immediately cuts to the next one. This is the most common transition in movies. Most of the time you won't need any more than this, and in fact it's usually a good idea to have a new cut like this every few seconds in order to keep your audience interested visually. Just make sure what you're cutting to makes sense, and your audio syncs up if it's in the same scene. Unfortunately, this cut doesn't really make any sense, but I'm just showing you how to use the software. Anyway, we have a simple cut now, but let's make a more complicated transition. Now you'll see there are a lot of transitions to choose from. Now unlike effects, I think most of these are pretty cheesy, and you're really not going to see much in movies. These types of transitions are more for the used car commercials in between the movie. In fact, there's only one effect in this list I really recommend using, and that's dissolve or fade. Here, open up the dissolve folder. See, look, cross dissolve is even outlined in red. It's so useful. This is used all the time in movies. You can use it to show that time's passed, you're in a different area, pretty much anything. It's a good way to distinguish a scene change. And some of these other effects, like dip to black, lets you fade to black, etc. Another very common effect. So it's not to say you can't use the other transitions, but with few exceptions, it's going to scream out that you're just somebody who wants to play with the transitions. Again, these are more for credits and music videos, not as much for regular movies. So, in order to use a cross dissolve in these two clips, I'm going to stack them on top of one another. I'm going to drag the second clip over to track 2, then move it over a little bit. Now when I move the scrubber over the clip, it immediately cuts to the clip on top. That's what we're going to change. So click on cross dissolve, then drag it over to the edge of the top clip here. Okay, see how that created a purple bar? That's the length of our transition. Here, I'll press play. Well, unfortunately, that looked pretty choppy on this recorded video, but your final result will be nice and smooth. And if that fade is too fast for you, you can drag the edge of it to make it last longer. Now don't drag it past the bottom, otherwise it will fade abruptly to black. If you want to fade to black this way, just put it at the beginning or end of your clip with nothing else underneath it. Again, that's a very common transition in movies. And finally, if you decide you don't want the transition, if you select it and not the clip, then press delete, it will delete it and leave your clip's position intact. Okay, I'll go ahead and put this back to how it was. Now besides effects and transitions, there's another basic function I'd like to show you in Premiere, and that's titles.